The Bible tells us that on his 12th birthday, he came here to Jerusalem, to the great Jewish temple, for his bar mitzvah, his ritual coming of age. But for the last 2,000 years, Christianity and Judaism have been at war over Jesus. Why? Because of what some consider to be Christianity's greatest ever lie, that the Jews were responsible for the death of Jesus on the cross. This simple untruth laid the foundations for centuries of brutal and bloody anti-Semitism, ending with the Nazi-led Holocaust of the Second World War. So it should be of no surprise that many Jews still consider Jesus a symbol of oppression and suffering.
Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you, it's a pleasure to be with you. Rabbi Tovia Singer is an Orthodox Jew, born in New York, who hosts a weekly show on Israeli national radio, in which he takes on Christian fundamentalists about their faith, and in particular, their belief in Jesus as the Messiah.
I'm an Orthodox Jew. I don't believe in Jesus. Is there any other figure in history that's come to represent our pain? How many millions of Jews have died because of this? You are a Christian, a devout Christian. You devoted your life to studying this. And
in terms of Judaism, for me, I can't be Christian without taking Judaism seriously. When I read the teachings of Jesus, the life of Jesus, I read Jesus in light of the Hebrew Scriptures. For me as a Christian, Judaism is an integral part of reading and understanding who Jesus was and who Jesus is.
If all Christians over the past 2,000 years thought the way you do, there'll be millions of more Jews in the world. This will be a very different kind of world.
Most Jews have no issue with Jesus. He just has no place in their lives. But for some Orthodox Jews, like Rabbi Singer, Jesus was responsible for a new religion that tried to undermine and destroy their faith by converting them to Christianity. For them, Jesus is not a savior, but a symbol of oppression. In the ancient Jewish books that make up the Talmud, there is a completely different narrative to Jesus' life. Instead of being the Son of God, he's described as the son of Mary, born out of wedlock. Instead of a wise and charismatic teacher who performed miracles, he is seen as a fraudulent magician. Instead of the leader of a new religious movement, he is a dangerous heretic.
You know, we have a little problem just understanding who really was Jesus. That is that Jesus wrote nothing but a line in the sand in the book of John. See, the problem for the Jewish people or any non-Christian is how do we know what a person who wrote nothing, how do we know what he was really like?
So is Jesus a heretic?
The Bible tells us in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13 particularly, that a false prophet is to be rejected.
As a Christian, I was taught that Jesus was the Son of God, the Messiah. From your perspective, is that a false teaching?
Depends what you mean by the Son of God.
So for you, Jesus could not be part of the Godhead?
Even more so, no one could. There is no Godhead.
But there are some Jews who do believe in Jesus. One group, known as Jews for Jesus, has been operating in Israel for the last 12 years. Every week, they hand out leaflets on the streets of Tel Aviv, trying to convince their fellow Israelis that Jesus is the Messiah. Their leader is Dan Sered.
This track says here, Yeshua Hetzil Oti. Yeshua, Jesus saved me.
Jews for Jesus claim the Hebrew word commonly used to describe Jesus, Yeshu, is an ancient curse.
This name, this acronym that they gave him is actually a curse, and it means, may his name and memory be blotted out. But that's not his real name. His real name is Yeshua. Yeshua is a Hebrew word which means salvation. And that's what we are doing. We're trying to tell people that Yeshua, Jesus, is salvation.
How do you describe yourself then? Because if you were in Birmingham, England, where I come from, and you said to people that you follow Jesus, they'd say you're a Christian. But here...
First of all, I say that I'm 100% Jewish and 100% Christian.
Yeah.
Those two things do not contradict. How I define myself, I'm a Jew for Jesus.
Jews for Jesus say they are fulfilling Jesus' original mission to persuade other Jews that he is the Messiah.
That is sure.
Out of an Israeli population of 6 million, they claim a membership of just 3,000. Under Israeli law, they are forbidden to offer any incentives to entice new converts, and they face huge opposition from Orthodox Jews. Rabbi Singer runs an organization that was set up to combat any attempt to convert Jews to other faiths.
They're seeking to destroy our faith. That means that this is a direct assault on Judaism. You know what they're saying? They're saying that Judaism is a false, defective faith from which you need to be saved.
Rabbi Singer believes Dan Sered and his colleagues are just Christians posing as Jews, so they can infiltrate Jewish communities and make new converts to Jesus.
I think there is a lot of ignorance. If you want to believe him, believe in him. If you want to refuse, refuse. You know, we're not forcing you to do anything. You know, the choice is yours.
They actually blur the distinctions between Judaism and Christianity in order to lure Jews who would otherwise resist a straightforward Christian message.
I would respond that Jesus, again, gave people freedom. So, if you're a Jewish person and you come to faith in Jesus and you still want to keep the Shabbat, and put a yarmulke on and do all those things, you can do it. Once you believe in him, the rest of it doesn't matter.
It's a knife in our hearts. It's a knife in my heart as a Jew, as a teacher, as a rabbi. The Crusaders that came into this city in 1099, what do they have painted on their shields?
Crosses.
That's exactly right. That image meant destruction. Every Jew in this city, July 15th, herded into a synagogue. The doors were locked. John 15:6 read aloud. Those who do not accept will be burnt. They proclaimed, we do this to honor Christ.
I was told about another group of Jews whose belief in Jesus has brought them into violent conflict with their Orthodox Jewish neighbors. They don't look very happy.
They're not very happy. They're quite cross, actually.
Was it dangerous to film? Did the person feel...
The person was myself.
Right, did you feel worried filming it?
My hands were a bit shaky, yeah.
Yakim Figueres is an Israeli Christian and pastor of the congregation. His wife Debbie is from a Jewish background.
They're comparing us to Hitler and the Nazis.
Whenever they try to hold a religious meeting, groups of Orthodox Jews often try to disrupt them, sometimes violently. And they've just thrown something at the house?
Yeah, they threw the stone, yeah.
So how long has this been going on? How long have you had this kind of hostility?
For 4 years,
For 4
maybe
years.
more, yeah.
The police is almost never there, and they feel free to come to our house. It's more or less the usual stuff that happens here every week.
Jesus was a Jew, and he wanted other Jews to follow him and what he believed about God. Is that what you see yourself doing?
Yeah.